I'm sitting here on the bench. I'm sitting here on the Group W bench. No, that's an old Arlo Guthrie reference that nobody gets. So I'm sitting here talking to Pamela Furr as we do our crossover. As, normally I would be talking to Hand. By the way, it's Matt Murphy Show, 12:04, almost 12:05. Good afternoon, can I be the first to say. It is Thursday, March 21. We'll get to more of the pleasantries in a moment. So I'm sitting here, and I said to Pamela, I'm not going to do politics, I don't think, at the beginning. I'm going to talk about dogs. Specifically, I'm talking about the ban on non-service animals in restaurants and other populated places in the state of Tennessee. And I think the governor signed it, or he's going to sign it. And before I got any of that out, Furr says, and you guys know me, I had 3. We lost John Henry. Now we have the 2, Larry Munson and Mrs. Beasley. And Furr says, I'm going to get a dog. She just kind of throws that out there like, I'm going to get a dog, but I'm so busy. And then she immediately starts to regurgitate all of the lines that you hear. Like, so you can tell she wants to get a dog. She needs to get a dog. She's going to get a dog, but I'm so busy, and I'm just worried about it. And I'm not like, well, we've got to find you a dog. So if anybody knows anybody that has a good dog, a little dog, you want a little dog, little yippy dog, little dog about the size of your, hey, Belle, a little dog about the size of your cats, or maybe a little smaller.
I'm not taking the bait.
I am a master. I'm a master at getting you to take the bait.
I'm still not taking the bait.
Thank you, Pamela. Pamela, for exiting the facilities before we get her a dog. Anyway, that's how my day's been going. Hope your day's been going well. Hope your morning's been going well. We've lots to discuss in the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I hope you spend every single moment of our 180-minute allotment of time, and they just tick-tock, 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 not a moment to waste. You can find us on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. That is 615-737-9986. The Members Nutrition Super Text line is always up and running. Whether we respond or not, I read every single one of them, and I try to respond to all of them. I try to make that interactive both on and off air, and so you're invited to do that. You can also find me on a variety of different social media platforms, and odds are, what would you say, Belle K, the odds of me being nice to people on the X machine?
Better than me being nice.
Well, yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know. There have been multiple occasions where I've been a total Judas. I've disavowed you.
Why?
Because
thanks, man.
People are
I actually retweet you.
No,
with consistency.
This has only happened like twice, and
it's only 2 times that I've stabbed you in the back.
This is what happens. So, I don't know what Belle's doing over there in Madison, but let's just say that later in the day, later in the evening, on occasion, he seems to get a little feisty. I know I do. Buzz tweeting is drunk tweeting. Anyway, so he'll throw something
but not
out
if you're doing it while you're driving.
That's right. He'll throw somebody under the bus. If you don't follow Belle on the X machine, you need to. It's a hoot. Because he lives his life to annoy people on social media.
Why should you get all the fun?
If you're following me at Matt Murphy Show and you think I'm bad, you just go over there and you see. Belle is my ballast.
Yes.
Belle gives me the ability to always, and this is what I do. I tell people if I get into a tight spot, it could always be worse. I could be my producer. Go over there and look at what he's doing. I mean, if you want to see really bad. And they uniformly agree. Yeah, that's true. But the 2 times that I've Judased you, like there was some liberal troll, and you had said something, I don't know what it was. It wasn't particularly out of bounds for, insane people like you and me, but for this liberal troll, he thought it was the worst thing ever. Is this your producer? Look at you. Look at this. Look at this person. This person represents you and represents your show and your state. And you know what I said?
What?
I don't know who that guy is.
Well, and also, the very fact that he had to ask if I was your producer shows you how little I identify my Twitter account with the station.
I just think it's funny that because what is he supposed to say?
And Steve Abramowitz sent you a picture of that one time. He's like, "This your guy?"
Nah, not my guy. This is. Oh yeah, no, that was the other one. I told Abramowitz, although he knew better. I was like, I don't know that person. He's like, wait a minute, I've seen him in studio. No, I don't know who that is. Anyway, you can follow us up on social media at Matt Murphy Show. There's a lot of fun going on over there on a day-to-day basis. You can find Bell, but I'm not going to tell you how. You just have to work at it a little bit. You can also find the radio station on a variety of different platforms, to include the YouTubes and the Facebooks and all of those things. And as a matter of fact, we're on a variety of platforms today broadcasting this radio show on 99.7 FM on the radio dial. You can find us on any internet streaming platform of your choosing. Just go there, type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN, you'll find us. And then, of course, there is Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. It is up and running. And as always, Bell K refuses to participate. I ask him every day, and every day he says no, although he does continue to title the episodes. And today's episode 536 is entitled by Headless Bell.
Matt Murphy reminds you, plagiarism is stealing. Unless you make a career out of it, then it's research for a presidency. Libertarian Lunch, noon to 3.
Is it not fat? You know what? You're right. By the way, I got up while you were reading that and dimmed the lights, and my headphones shocked me 4 times. I don't know what's going on.
That's a built-in feature. You're not supposed to get out of the chair during the segment.
Giddy up. So, if you spend a moment, and I'll include Donald Trump in this, and I love Donald Trump. Donald Trump represents blowing up the swamp and the political establishment. And for that reason alone, I'll support him till the end of the earth. Because I like the chaos. I'm a chaos man. I like to see liberals and establishment folk with their hair on fire. I love it. I love it. I would eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But if you sit back for a moment, can we do that on this Thursday edition? Where we...
Friday Eve.
Hush your mouth. Where we glance at this from 100,000 feet and you realize, I mean, if someone from outer space descended to the earth and they were sentient and they were, they had an ability to understand what's going on. And they said, well, show us the leader. Show us the guy. Show us the gal. Show us the head honcho. If you had to point to one. And so we would take them over and we would show them the Chinese president, Xi. And they were like, no. The big guy that's elected, not the dictator. I kid about the Xi thing. So we point them to Joe Biden. And this same alien, space alien, not illegal alien, they would love him, the illegal aliens. This same alien looks over the arc of history. And you see that you're dealing with someone who at one time was best buddies with Klansmen, who now claims that he championed the civil rights movement. Someone who has sucked from the proverbial government teat all of his adult life. Oh, I'm going to keep going, Mr. President. I'm just getting warmed up, Mr. Resident. A guy that has lied his entire career to the point that he ran for president in 1988. And he was run out of town on a rail. Well, at least in terms of the presidency. He kept his Senate seat, amazingly. But people did a little digging into his background, and it was established that he was a serial plagiarist. He's a serial liar. And at this stage of the proceedings, he is a dementia-addled, bumbling old man who is obviously being handled by people behind the scenes who are obviously making all of the decisions. He doesn't decide. Who among you, even you liberals, and I love you. I want all the listeners. I don't want just the conservatives or the libertarians. I want all of you. Come on over to the party. Now, you're going to get a strong dose of reality at the party. I promise you that. We're not going to mollycoddle you. There are no crying rooms on the Matt Murphy Show. Who among you defends this? Who actually thinks that Joe Biden is making any decisions? Any decision about anything? Well, it is, Joe, big guy. And the beauty of all of this is that they can't do anything about it. And the American people are smart enough to understand that if you put yourself in a position, once again, I've well established my bona fides with regard to Donald Trump, and Trump supporters get their panties all in a bunch if you say anything mildly negative about their guy. But I'm asking you to put yourself in a mindset of people who are not predisposed to supporting Donald Trump. People in Michigan whose families have always voted Democrat. People in Pennsylvania who might live in Philly or Pittsburgh, not in the Alabama in between. People in Atlanta, Georgia, minority groups, people of color who are told that Donald Trump, repeatedly told that Donald Trump's racist. Those types of people who, maybe suburban moms, who have been convinced by lies and subterfuge on the part of the mainstream media that their reproductive rights are somehow under assault. Those people know. They know. Those people, and I thank God for it, are smart enough when they see someone who's not making decisions for the better or worse of the country. It's not even that they're not making the right decisions. And this is where we're going in this presidential contest. For better or worse, does anyone think that anyone supersedes Donald Trump in any decision that he makes? For better or worse? I'm not asking you to agree with the decision. I'm suggesting to you that no one doubts that it's his decision. When Donald Trump stands on a stage and he calls something a bloodbath, by God, that's Donald Trump calling it a bloodbath. Conversely, and starkly polar opposite. For better or worse, you can be the most affirmed socialist on the face of the earth. You could call this radio show, and I invite you to do it, 615-737-9986. You could tell me, dude, I would vote for a pile of dog poo over Trump. I ain't voting for no Republican. You can tell me all of these things, but you cannot look yourself in the mirror and tell me that Joe Biden makes decisions. You know it's not true. For better or worse, you know it's not true. And people have concerns about that. Now, 40% of America, they would vote for any Democrat on the ticket. That's just how they have been conditioned. Sadly, there are many people who have been mentally brainwashed in the United States of America. And I'm sorry for that. And we fight for 3 hours a day to try to break through some of that clutter and clatter and garbage. But for the 20%, and 40% of America will vote for Donald Trump. What did he say back in the day, Bell? That he could shoot a guy on Fifth Avenue and he would still get votes, right? Yeah. 40% of America would be right there. But it's the 20% of America that we're battling for. As frustrating as that is to those of you who engage on a more regular basis on Super Talk and in other arenas, I understand that that's frustrating because you have the depth of knowledge that they don't have. You have an underpinning for your beliefs that they don't have. It's the 20%. So those people have figured it out. Those people have figured out that for whatever reason that I might or might not support Donald Trump, being his own man and making his own decisions, that's not in question. If you vote for Joe Biden, you're accepting that you're voting that someone else gets to make the decisions for the United States of America. And I would be willing to, I welcome anyone to challenge me that my assessment of this situation is incorrect. I welcome anyone to explain to me how I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Joe Biden's not making any decisions for this country. Joe Biden couldn't decide where to go to the bathroom. And I don't say that with any joy in my heart, except that I believe it's going to get him beaten and the Democrats beaten, and I believe that's better for the United States of America and better for you and better for your family and better for your dinner table, better for your livelihood, better for your bank account. The pleasure that I take in exposing this to you is the pleasure that I will take in November watching this country get back on track with, at very least, even if you disagree with every single decision he makes, at very least a guy that's calling the shots, that stands in the arena and, for better or worse, makes the decisions, stands by his decisions, and let the chips fall where they may. Not some doddering old fool that's been sucking off our tax money for his entire life. It has never been more stark to me. If you want an example of this type of contrast that I'm talking about, I have it for you in the form of Belle Kay's girlfriend. Belle Kay's girlfriend was sitting in a committee hearing yesterday. And
you watch your filthy mouth about her.
And Headless Belle's girlfriend had a few things to say about America. And more specifically about Tony Bobulinski, former friend of the Biden family. We will discuss in just a moment on the Matt Murphy Show. Also, the state of Tennessee has banned dogs in restaurants, and as much of a dog lover as I am, I want to get your thoughts on this. If you're a dog lover, if you're on your libertarian lunch break, we thank you for making us a part of it, and I invite you to be a part of our show today. 615-737-9986. Is anyone mad about this ruling? If you don't know the details of the ruling, I'll tell you in just a moment. Plus, AOC coming up with Tony Bobulinski. It's hilarious as AOC, she challenges a guy, she builds it up, she demands an answer, she gets one, and she keeps screaming.
She's the boss.
I am the boss. 615-737-9986. Just getting underway. It's The Murphy Show. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. The Tennessee Men's Clinic wants to help you with your energy levels. Come on, guys. Look, gentlemen, as you sit around and watch, maybe you're watching the round ball this week and this weekend. Maybe you're doing other things in the yard. Maybe you're getting ready for spring. Spring is officially sprung. A lot of folks out of the big box stores buying plants or whatever. And if you don't feel it, if you're not feeling it, if you couldn't get on a basketball court if your life depended on it, maybe it's your energy levels, and maybe it is caused by certain things happening in your body, naturally occurring in your body that happen over time that lead you to this lowly state. What if I told you that there's a company specifically dedicated to your levels, specifically dedicated to men's health, specifically dedicated to examining you, finding out what is wrong with you. Maybe it's sleep, and they'll tell you that, send you on your way. Maybe it's low T. We don't know until we find out. And when you find out, you begin the path to get back right with your energy so you can do the yard work, so you can get to the gym, so that you can have some better results in the bedroom, maybe. TennesseeMen'sClinic.com is the place to go. TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or give them a call. 2 locations to serve you. One's in Midtown and the other, of course, in Cool Springs. 615-208-9090. That's 208-9090 for our good friends at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com. When you buy your home, it's one of the more exciting days in your life. You know, you're moving into the new home. Maybe it's brand new or maybe it's just new to you. And then over the life of the home, you make it yours. You kind of settle in to your house, do different things to it. And you know what else is settling? Your house. Your actual house is settling constantly. And when it comes to your home and specifically large home repairs, a lot of us don't want to think about or deal with things that might be causing you an issue down the road. I want you to think about that for just a moment. I want you to think about USS, United Structural Systems, because this is what they do at USS. They come into your home and they diagnose an issue that perhaps you have initially identified. One of the things that they do on their website is they help you figure out if you have a problem with regard to foundation repair, foundation settling, waterproofing repair, concrete leveling. They can help you figure out what the symptoms might be. When it's hot and or dry weather, if you notice soil cracking and pulling away from your house, that is a sign. Bricks cracking, that's a sign, obviously. Drywall separating or stair-step cracks in masonry joints, that's a sign. When it comes to water, musty smells, moldy smells, obviously standing water. All of these things could add up to major issues down the road. It's time to get it looked at with USS, United Structural Systems. For 30 years, they've been satisfying customers, over 25,000, well in excess of 25,000 customers now, and you could be the next one. Give them a call today, USSTN.com online, USSTN.com, or call them at 615-488-7855. They guarantee their best. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to USS. It is the Libertarian Lunch, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. Bell K, a.k.a. Headless Bell, behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. You, on the phone lines and on the Members Nutrition Super Text line, 615-737-9986. That bumper, I'm considering, as much as I like it, I'm considering asking you to retire it. And I'm going to tell you why. Can you rack it again? I don't know if you can or not. If you can, it's no big deal.
I can't.
Okay. So, right at the beginning of that bumper, I think I've told you this before. I think it's a different song, and I get excited.
Well, it's a generic piece of music, but it's meant to sound like
Is it meant
art.
to sound like Barracuda?
Yeah.
Oh,
a lot of these are like that.
Well,
Like there's one that sort of sounds like Def Leppard, and there's one that sort of sounds like Metallica.
We would do different things on the bumpers, but Bell shoots me down because I have these ideas as, man, we could just do, country oldies or this or that. Well, now that we are platforming,
on the web,
now that we're platforming in different places, you have to worry about that. Like I was watching a sports-related podcast earlier this morning, and someone started singing. On CBS, they've been doing the March Madness stuff for years. And someone started singing the theme, like live in studio.
They drop it out? Cut the mic?
Well, everybody else told them to stop. They said, well, no, they'll flag that, and they'll cut it, and they'll drop it. We have to worry about copyrighted music.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, the different hoops you have to jump through. Because we can play anything we want to on the radio.
Yep.
With no problem.
Yep.
But if it goes to the web, we might have a problem.
And every time I do that, like if I ask Bell, hey, I need a specific cut of music, I need a specific thing, then Bell knows that he has to go back and he has to eliminate that from the webcast.
Yeah. And if I podcast an interview you do or something, and like say when you did Pat Boone's interview, and I go to podcast that, I had to cut out the part where I played his single Grits. Because I can't put it on the web. It's silly.
Yeah, we don't want to do that, but that's what we have to do. So all that to say, Bell uses a different category of bumper selections. We could do some other thing, but in one way or the other. But every time I hear that, well, that makes sense then, because every time I hear it, I think, oh, he's playing Barracuda, and I get to go, oh, Barracuda, and then I never get to do it. Todd says, Mr. Bell, you keep doing what you're doing. Don't listen to me. Oh, what? I'm not fussing. Why does everybody think I'm fussing at you? Because normally I'm fussing at you. Brian says, I'd say the dog thing should be left up to the restaurant owner, and the consumer can decide from there where they want to spend their money. As Uncle Phil used to say, let the market decide. I've been to several small restaurants that obviously encouraged bringing pets, and no one had any issues with it. Here's the issue. I would agree with you. And I do agree with you from a libertarian perspective. And yes, Todd, I did suggest old country. I think old country music would be a great suggestion. Oh, I see what you're saying, Todd. Pardon me, I got squirreled. Todd says, well, you suggested old country music, and Bell rolled his eyes at you, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I got you, Todd.
I would actually be fine with that. It would be great to play some Willie or some Waylon and some Johnny Cash,
I mean, 60s and 70s and maybe a little bit of 80s country music. I would love that. But once again, it would add what? One, it would diminish the online product. Number two, it would probably add about like an hour or more to your day every day.
Well, no, I don't think it would. It's just that it
would harm the online product.
Yeah. It makes me have to take chunks out of your interviews, and I'm not doing that.
Rooster says Sanford and Son would be a good bumper music. That is a fab. Wasn't that Isaac Hayes?
No, that wasn't. I mean, obviously, Shaft was his big hit.
But it was a big name, though.
Quincy Jones wrote it.
Quincy Jones. I transposed Quincy Jones and Isaac Hayes. My apologies. Tennessee lawmakers have passed a bill that ban emotional support animals in restaurants and other food service establishments. It has been sent to the governor to be signed. This was a week ago. I assume that the governor has signed this. I think that's the case. My story is just a little dated. Tennessee law had already banned most dogs inside of buildings that prepare or serve food. HB 1635 extends the ban to specifically include emotional support animals as well as other animals such as cats. Only trained service dogs, police dogs, and fish and or crustaceans inside tanks would be allowed inside of restaurants. Now, if you want to make a big deal out of this, I would encourage a Murphy Show listener, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go with you and film it. If you're willing to take a fish in a bowl into a restaurant, like a big one, like a koi, and let us logo up your fish bowl, I'll pay for your dinner. You know, we go in there. Ooh, maybe it's a seafood restaurant, and we go in and we talk to the fish and talk to him about how we're about to eat his little buddies.
You have somebody from the staff go, "Sir, we don't allow outside food in here. We're not cooking that for you."
No, that's our emotional support fish, which we are per House Bill 1635, perfectly allowed to bring into this business establishment. Thank you very much. Many people were asking why in the hell they would make an exception for fish. Well, I mean, some restaurants have fish tanks is the reason.
And isn't that still a staple of Red Lobster, where you walk in and there's a big lobster tank in the lobby?
I don't go to the Dead Lobster, Bell. I don't know.
But I mean, that was part of their
I think
theme,
that was a big
wasn't it?
deal. Does that skeeve you out, that whole idea?
What?
I don't like the idea of seeing my food before I eat it.
I don't mind it with lobsters because they're not cows, but I don't want to see a cow. I don't want to talk to a cow before I eat them.
What do you got against lobsters?
They're just like cockroaches in the sea.
Big sea roaches.
Yeah.
Man, and by the way, you people that eat crawfish are disgusting. There. I said it. Probably the most controversial thing I've said since I've been in Nashville, Tennessee on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I think crawfish are disgusting. I think people that eat them have something wrong with them. I think it's all performative. And I know people are going to give me a lot of hate over this, and that's fine. I'm willing to accept all of the hate that you give me. Do we have a 12:30 to do? Am I that late? I'm sorry. I'm just in a mood. I'm in a mood today, and I'm sorry. I just looked at the clock. My soda, which is sealed, Mandis, was blocking the clock, and I just looked around and I said,
"No, that's literally my fault."
That's trouble. All right, we'll get more into this in a moment. And oh, by the way, if you want to come at me on my crawfish stand, I'm willing to accept it. It's 12. Well, I'm not saying what time it is in case Mandis is listening. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Pardon me, ma'am. We like to say that the Glock store is minutes away from the airport and within the sound of my voice anywhere that you might be listening, and well worth the drive. I say minutes away from the airport because that kind of gives you an idea of where it is. You can get off on Briley Parkway. You can get to Elm Hill Pike that way and go over to Airlane Drive. You can just do Elm Hill Pike. Wherever you're coming from and whatever you're doing, if you're interested in looking at the finest gun store in the state of Tennessee and possibly in the Southeast, and I've been to a lot of them, you need to go to the Glock store. The retail establishment side is second to none, and the staff make it what it is, right? I mean, it's a beautiful showroom. They have incredible amounts of guns, obviously a lot of handguns, long guns as well, a lot of Glocks, a lot of custom Glocks. I mentioned the Trump 45 the other day. Man, oh man, what a great looking gun. They've got all of that, but it's the people that really make the difference because they can point you in the right direction on accessories, performance parts, clothing, and the like. They can point you in the right direction on a gun for you. If you are a novice, they're going to treat you with kids' gloves. They're going to walk you through the process. If you're an expert, well, you know what you're doing, and they know what they're doing too, and so you'll be simpatico. Now, the Shoot 270 side of things, man, oh man, what a great idea that Lenny McGill had years ago, that life doesn't happen in lanes, and so you probably should be able to shoot around in a 270-degree angle. So that last 90 degrees is just for safety. The rest of it is for you to understand how to use a gun in the real world. shoot270.com or glockstore.com, or better yet, stop by just off of Elm Hill Pike on Airlane Drive. It's the Glock Store. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Show. Thank you for being with us. Get you some of your telephone calls and members nutrition super text coming up in just a moment. I do have AOC audio where she's attacking Tony Bobulinski. We'll have an update on Riley Strain coming up. That search continues. There is a question being asked about whether or not the bar in question, Luke Bryan's bar in this case, is on some level liable. We'll talk about that. Andy Ogles has someone running against him in his district, in his 5th congressional district, apparently, we're told, and we'll tell you who that is. And the FBI says crime is down. By a show of hands, who believes that?
Wait a minute. Well, hold on. When SCOTUS decided the Bruin decision in New York, I was told there would be a gun violence bloodbath. Is that no longer on the schedule?
No. Crime is down.
So where's my gun violence bloodbath?
Mm-hmm. You know, we were told that, weren't we? No gun violence bloodbath in New York. Well, crime is down. The FBI wants you to know that single-handedly, Joe Biden has gone into each of these individual communities. And what the hell's that? Sorry.
He took all the guns, didn't he?
And he's made sure that crime is down. So good, bully for him. Good for him. Kathy says, and Trevor, you're right on target. Trevor from the Members Nutrition Super Text line writes in, the FBI is a crime family. I wouldn't believe what the FBI told me if the head of the FBI was sitting in this room. I understand that there are a lot of field agents that get a lot of bad rap because of how the FBI conducts its business. The FBI has been corrupted and politicized. The FBI was always an organization that was designed to butt against your civil liberties. I've been saying this for years. By design, the FBI created their organization where they were going to butt against your civil liberties. It is up to us to make sure that they do not overrun our civil liberties. And sadly, lately, they've been doing so. And they've been doing so in a partisan way. They were always an organization that had to have the most monitoring. And now, in modern times, they have become a corrupted organization from the head down that has to be dismantled, destroyed, and rebuilt. Does that mean that I don't understand that they do good work, that they do important things? Of course they do good work. Of course they do important things. I recognize that we have security threats that you and I can't possibly imagine, and we have to empower individuals to protect us against those security threats. Most of those security threats come from exterior of the country. Some of them come from the interior of the country, and I get all of that too. It is not my fault that the FBI has become a partisan shell of its former self. And it was always an organization that had to be watched. Always. By the way, the FBI says crime is down. Crime's going to be down when the DAs let all these folks go. Crime's going to be if you want to know why crime is down, what was her name? Oh, I'm so sad that Ludwig. The Belmont University student, her last name was Ludwig. What was her first name? Judith? Something like that. Someone on the super text line will tell me, and I apologize for not remembering. That was just like a year ago. Well, when you're letting these people back out on the streets in Nashville, Jillian Ludwig, thank you very much, Bill. When you let these people back on the streets, then they don't become a part of the statistics. If you don't get convictions, then they don't. You understand what I'm saying? You can still have instances. Crime reporting goes down. And in an election year, Joe Biden and the FBI, but I repeat myself, they say, oh, yeah, crime's down. Sure it is. So we've got that, and thank you, 0397, Jillian Ludwig, whose family has still not seen justice, although this scumbag is now charged with murder, we're told. But now we're told that it's going to be a harder case to prove than you think. To prove that he actually fired the shot that killed her is going to be a harder case than some would suggest. 6563 says, I thought the Supreme Court was at the top. How did a lower court there stop the decision on Texas illegals? It makes zero sense. It's a good question, and I'll dive into that in hour number 2 on the Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Covenant School anniversary is also upcoming, and there's some activities going on next week that we want to tell you about. But before I get too far away from it, here's the deal. Here's my take on this. So my libertarian ideological bent would dictate to me that we should not be determining how private businesses run their business, even when it comes to dogs or any animals of that, for that matter. At the same time, what seems to be happening, there seems to be a demand on the part of service animal folks, and even beyond service animal folks, emotional support animal folks, that without regard for the business's policy, and that's what we're talking about, without the regard for the business's policies, people have begun demanding that they be allowed inside said business with their service dog / emotional support dog, and they conflate the two. So what this bill, House Bill 1635, does that we were talking about a few minutes ago, Tennessee law already bans dogs inside of buildings that prepare or serve food. And the reason here is that while Tennessee, doesn't want to get into private business owners' business practices, they believe that the presence of a dog in the real world could pose somewhat of a health and safety hazard inside of a place where people are eating. Now, I would believe that the free market could determine how all of this could shake out. If you have a business that allows all these dogs in, And you could ask on the front end, do you allow dogs or do you not allow dogs? The problem is that there are people that are suggesting that emotional support animals are the same as service dogs, like dogs for the blind or other types of service animals, and they aren't the same. Now, I understand that some people depend on their emotional support animals for PTSD and other issues, and there are some designations that I think you could make with regard to a veteran, for example, or other individuals with legit PTSD. But these women that run, I say women and men that run around and they got their little yippy dogs in their bags. Oh, it's my emotional support dog. And we've seen the videos of. You ever see the video of the emotional support peacock on an airplane? Yeah.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to avoid. Okay.
Am I still going to be allowed to take my emotional support Cobra into a restaurant?
You can take that thing anywhere you want.
Okay. Thank you.
According to, what's your Cobra's name again?
Spicy.
I don't know why that makes me giggle. Everybody want to be spicy? She's a dreamboat. Oh, that just means she loves you. When she does that, when she flares that like that, she's showing you what God gave her. It's 12:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Carrie is next up. Hey, Carrie, how are you?
Hey, Matt. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, I'm going to take you up on your offer that go out to some restaurant and let's take a fish. In fact, let's go catch our fish, name it, and we'll fix it up and take it in.
You know, it would be even better if we went to a restaurant where they served a trout, if we brought in a trout, or if they served
That would
salmon,
be
we
great.
brought in a salmon. Uh-huh.
Yeah. An emotional support salmon. Yeah. We can do that.
You hit me up and we'll get it done. We'll slap a Super Talk logo on that fish bowl, and I'll buy dinner and we'll make it happen, Carrie.
Okay, how do I hit you up?
Matt@murphyshow.com. Let's get it done. That's my website. Okay. That's my email address, Matt@murphyshow.com. Or you can find me on any of the socials.
You tell your cohort to bring Spicy, and we'll make it a family affair.
There you go, Belle. You can bring Spicy. Maybe Spicy and our emotional support salmon, whom we've not yet named, can get together at some point during the meal. Make a little love.
Go on.
Make a little love connection, Carrie. Right?
Oh yeah. You know what? I'm single, so you need to bring me a date. I'm 5'8.5". Bring me a date.
Belle K is going to get working on that. Hey, Belle, Carrie says she's 5'8.5". She needs a date for our date. So I'm thinking you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking we're late.
I'll be 65 in May. So
how old?
Fix me up.
This is perfect.
Fix me up, Matt.
I got you, Carrie. I got you. I'm going to work on this. Thank you, Carrie, for the call. She said she's 35, Belle. Sure. 615-737-9986. We'll bring Spicy, we'll bring the salmon, and we'll have a good time. It's 12:52 on Super Talk. Boo! You jerk! I hear that. I don't know if anyone else has noticed. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I covered it up for a good amount of time, but I feel a little more pep in my step. I really do. And I do because of Dr. Stephen Poss and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. And I want to tell you all about it because Dr. Poss, I've been talking about Dr. Poss and what he does with appliances that fit inside of your mouth. It's like a retainer. I've also described it, if you've ever watched football, the little mouth guards, the teeth guards that they wear in football. It's similar to that, only it's a little bit smaller than those. And Dr. Poss has been custom fitting these with his 3D printing technology for a long time now, helping people with mild to moderate sleep apnea that are CPAP intolerant or don't feel like they rise to the level of needing a CPAP. Now, they take all major insurance companies like BCBS, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, TRICARE for the military. They have 2 offices to serve you, Brentwood and Murfreesboro. But what I want to impress upon you, I was talking about the appliance, and Dr. Paz asked me, he said, do you have sleep apnea? And I told him that I felt tired and sluggish during the day. He said, maybe get a test. I did. And, well, lo and behold, while I do not snore that much in the night, I do have sleep apnea. And so I am now not just a spokesperson for the Dr. Paz Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. I'm also a client, and I'm sleeping better, and I can tell that I'm sleeping better. I can tell that I have more energy. That's the last thing these liberals need, more energy, Matt Murphy. Thank you to Dr. Stephen Paz. Get more information by going to drpos.com, drposs.com. Do this for yourself. Do this for your family. You'll sleep better tonight. drpos.com. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is located in Franklin. But anywhere where you're listening to me, if you're in pain for any reason, if it is a back pain, a neck pain, a knee pain, a hip pain, an elbow pain, wherever it hurts, you owe it to yourself to contact the Dr. Gill Center. If you're popping medication and you are frustrated because you have to live on over-the-counter meds or even prescription meds, if you're taking injections to stop pain, or if you're considering surgery, do me a favor and make the call that so many others have made to the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. It's as simple as a telephone call and less than $50, $49. You're going to get a comprehensive examination. You're going to get x-rays. They're going to sit down with you, Dr. Wendy, Dr. Gill, Dr. V, Dr. Dominic. They're going to sit down with you. They're going to go over those findings, and they're going to get you a plan of action that's going to lead to success for you and, by extension, your family. 615-882-4838 is the number to schedule that appointment today. I encourage you to do this. You can be pain-free in 2024 with the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. Hey, Bell, on the heels of a conversation that our next guest and I were just having here in the studios of Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and with the understanding that you have zero interest nor any knowledge about this subject, I have a question for you.
All right.
Hello, Bell.
Hey.
Hour number 2 starts right now. It's 1:04. I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask this question after I drag in our guest. Our guest is Scott Sapicki. Representative Scott Sapicki joins us on these Thursdays. It's a legislative roundup day on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, Scott.
I got a bone to pick with this guy.
Okay, well, pick your bone after he says hello.
Hello.
Hello. Okay.
Bring it on.
Let's go.
So, did you vote for this emotional support animal bill to ban them from restaurants?
Yes.
You voted for it?
Yes.
So now when I go out to a restaurant, I can't take my emotional support cobra.
Well, now be careful getting in my face because we know what happens on the House floor when that happens.
You explain to me why I can't. You explain to me why I can't go to O'Charlie's and take my emotional support cobra.
He just told you to back off, buddy.
I ain't backing off. I want to go into a restaurant with my emotional support cobra. You know what, Scott? I'm still going to take her into the restaurant with me, but now I'm just going to hide her in my pants instead of putting her in her cage.
See, this entire line of questioning was designed for him to get to the cobra in my pants joke. The entire thing.
You're going to have to start paying me double to come over here.
He's 12. You see what I deal with? I mean, this is my own version of Justin Jones right there behind the glass.
Wow.
I'm dealing with a child.
I hate you.
Wow.
The question was...
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Sapicki and I were talking about March Madness. I mean, obviously, it's going on in the background, and you kind of feel the buzz. And, this time is fun. I mean, it's a good time. I mean, I don't really care that much about basketball. I know you're a fan. But if I fill out a bracket and I'm competitive enough, I care, right? Because now I've got interest.
Right.
I got to say. Do either of y'all know the number, the odds of filling out a perfect bracket?
I'd probably find the 7 lottery numbers a lot easier.
It is. I can't remember. It's like 1 in 2.4 like quintillion or something.
Wow.
It is insane, and no one's ever done it. Obviously, a guy got close about 5 years ago, where he only missed like 2 picks. But yeah, I think that's the pleasure. Who's your dark horse?
Crichton. They got that big center. That's probably going to be a lottery pick. And the one thing I've always watched, I've been doing this for a long time, watching this, not betting, but watching this. And whenever you have those big guys in the post, they tend not to be affected by the 3-point, going cold. And it's a lot easier to get a big guy in the middle, dunking the basketball. And so Crichton is my pick to watch out for.
I have Tennessee beating Crichton in the Sweet 16.
Homer.
I'm a Georgia boy. We don't play basketball.
So what are their odds of winning the championship this year?
0.00.
Yeah.
I'd win that
How
bet
long
every
until
time.
football season, man?
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Spring football right now.
That's
now.
right. That's right.
A lot of activity going on at the General Assembly, obviously.
Yes.
We could talk March Madness all afternoon, but there are more important matters, and a lot of people want to get an update. On, obviously, school choice and the possibility of getting some legislation, giving parents more opportunities, more tools in the toolbox, if you will, to create those better educational opportunities for their children. Obviously, you're a huge supporter, you're a huge proponent, and you are a central figure in all of this. And you've been updating us all along. And look, I'm not here to pour cold water on it. I'm just telling you, in your absence last week, over those 2 weeks, I'm hearing more and more that as time marches on, that we're not getting any closer to resolving some of the differences between the Senate legislation and the House legislation. And obviously that has to happen for anything to get to the governor's desk. Give us an overview. Tell us where we are.
Well, I think you look at this two ways. You can look at what this House has to take out. But I think what nobody's really talking about is the House bill of what we put together. And maybe the negotiations are going to be what the Senate wants to add on to our bill. Not take away, not try to scale down, but maybe look at things on the Senate side, such as the public-to-public choice, right? Letting a kid go out of district to school and using the scholarship to help pay those local fees. Maybe looking at trying to find money to put the teacher pay raises back in, so you get the insurance, the pay raises, and the TISA. I'm kind of looking at this the other way. I haven't heard really any pushback on our side of the bill on the public school things, the transformational public school things we're doing. I think everybody sees exactly what we're trying to do with that. It's the nuances of the choice part of the bill that I think we're going to have conversations about.
So for those who have not been following as closely, the differences between the Senate and the House, both of them include the scholarship. Both of them include the ability for parents, particularly those who are financially burdened, I think they're on the front end of the $20,000 to receive roughly $7,000 to go toward their child's education. All of those things that we've been talking about. The biggest differences would be that the House version has other things that it's trying to accomplish in the educational arena. True,
but there are some very distinct nuances between the Senate version of the school choice and the House version of the school choice, such as in the House version, we are unequivocally stating that you have to be a U.S. citizen to be able to access this type of money. On the Senate version, non-U.S. citizens are allowed to access the money, but they have to report them to immigration. We have, on the House side, we have listened to our homeschoolers, and we have written them out of the bill. They don't want any part of this. On the Senate version, they're still in. In our version, we have a cap on how quick this can grow, like we saw in Arizona, how it ballooned out of control financially.
Right.
We have caps on this and parameters on growth, so it is structured growth.
By the way, not interrupt your train of thought, but I was told yesterday. Well, finish your thought, because I want to ask you a question about Alabama's bill.
Okay. Where was I? You broke my
I'm sorry. What I was told, you were talking about Arizona and caps.
Yes.
And that's what inspired me, because Alabama didn't include caps.
So what we've seen across the country is that the states that have not put caps on this, such as Arizona, went from $140 million one year to $980 million the next.
Right.
Okay? We're not going to do that, because enable to know a program is successful. If you look at all of the statistics across the country with school choice, when a student goes from a failing public school to the high rigor of a private school, it takes about 4 years for them to get acclimated into that new environment and start to compete academically. So we got to have parameters in place that slow it down a little bit so we can get the data.
I mean, you've said from the beginning of this conversation that it is your expectation, if this were fully implemented, that you would see a couple of years where test scores might go down.
That's correct.
Because the rigorous nature of the private education that is better for the students in the long run, they got some catching up to do.
That's correct.
In other words,
like we have schools all around where this studio is, that as a high school, on their academics, they're performing as a high school on track at less than 5%. Less than 5%. Man.
That's bad.
So if that kid goes from that public school to a high rigor private school, they're going to have some growing pains over there for a while.
Sure.
So what we have to do is we have to give it time, but where it doesn't get out of financial control.
So you and I are in complete agreement, and I think the vast majority of the state of Tennessee, we're in complete agreement that we need to do something to shake up the nature of the public school system and to better benefit the parents. And that's one side of this. What I'm hearing is that, and you tell me if I'm wrong, why can't we separate the scholarship from the rest in the House? Do you need the rest in order to keep the votes?
Well, I think it's a combination of a couple things. I think we have been looking at doing these things for public education. I've been up there 6 years. Since year one, we've been talking about, hey, we got to reduce the testing. Hey, we got to reduce the evaluations. We got to create more time in the classroom. We got to look at the other aspects of education so that they get more of a reflection of how we used to do education. And we constantly kept getting told by the department, no. There's no money. There's no funding. They put a funding note on it and they kill the bill. Well, now we have a vehicle that I do believe in. I think parents should have the opportunity in a failing system to take their kids elsewhere to get the best for their kid. But we're using that vehicle to also, instead of how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time? No, we're going to swallow the whole thing at one time in public schools. We're going to transform it overnight, and we're going to unlock the potential of our public schools.
And therein lies the political impasse, because I'm told that the Senate's not willing to do that.
We shall see.
I mean, do you feel hopeful still?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you know why? We're talking about kids. We're talking about the future.
Well, if you back it up, I sadly, a lot of times big ideas die in the details. And we've been delving into the details a little bit. But if you broaden it out, and you brought a one-sheeter today that is just fascinating to me, because many people ask, well, what are you talking about when you're talking about the decline of public education? Your friends, your colleagues on the political left like to suggest that you're kind of throwing out the baby with the bathwater, that if you would just reinvest in public education, keep those private schools where they are, and do the same old things just with a little more money, then that would give you the ability to do better in public schools, better results.
Get better results.
But according to this one-sheeter that you just sent me, that's
not true.
That's not true. Walk through some of these numbers for
Sure,
us.
absolutely. So what we did is we looked at the last decade in Tennessee in our K-12 system, right? And so what we did is we broke it down from 2012 and 13 all the way to 23, 24. Our enrollment in our public schools across the state of Tennessee in 2012 was 993,000 students.
Okay.
We're now at 967,000. We've shed almost 30,000 students. But we've added in the last decade 1 million Tennesseans.
How is that possible?
Because we believe, and we're seeing it down in all of our counties around Nashville, people are moving here to retire.
Well, so we're Florida North.
We're Florida North because we have great hospitals. We have a great way of life.
No income tax.
No income tax. Our cost of living is very low compared to coming from California.
Beautiful state, great topography.
People are nice except for Bell. And then, other people, sorry, Bell, but
no, don't be sorry.
But
you made a Cobra joke.
But in 10 years, our enrollment has fallen 30,000 students. But here's where the rubber meets the road.
I mean, are some of those going to private school, you think?
Possibly. But you know what? We haven't had a lot of investment in private schools in the state of Tennessee. But here's where the rubber meets the road. And this is where it blows up the argument that if you give us more money, we'll get better results. Over that same time period from 2012 all the way now to fiscal year when we're in 23-24, our financing at the state level. Now, there's federal money on top of this. In 2012 and 13, we were funding at the state level $3.9 billion. 10 years later, we're now funding local dollars $6.5 billion, a 40% increase.
That's about 2.6.
Yeah.
Is that right? About $2.6 billion.
40% increase in school funding. But here's the problem with their argument. In 2012 and 13, our state average for the ACT was 19.5. Trust me, that's nothing to write home about. It's now 18.4. Now, the data we're working on right now, Matt, to draw this all together is the last column we're looking for is the third grade literacy. Now, everybody's going to say, oh, but look, you put $1 billion in the TISA and our English language arts scores jumped 10 points, right? Remember that? We talked about that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why they jumped 10 points? We changed the policy.
You changed the standards.
That's right. We changed the way we were going to teach it. We went back to the old school ways. The money was just a kicker on top of it.
Yeah, if you lower the, if you lower the basketball goal about 3 feet, I can dunk.
You can dunk. So what we did was we went back to the way we changed the policy. So now, remember I ran the math bill. Now we're working on the math policy. We're going to change the math policy on how we deliver it and watch what's going to happen in math. But this is in this Freedom Education Act, that the important thing you have to realize is the transformational things that we're doing for public education kind of mirrors what's going on in our private schools.
More on this in a moment. If you have any questions about school choice or the scholarship fund and this bill overall, how you can help, what it does, what it doesn't do, Members Nutrition Super Text line is up and running. A big-time update on this right now with Representative Scott Sapicki. It's 118 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right. Just got ourselves a house full. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I mentioned that we had an incredibly special guest coming in the 2 o'clock hour, and she got here a little bit early, and I went ahead and invited her into this conversation with Representative Scott Cepicky for the obvious reason that she has made it a point to involve herself in some of these issues surrounding public education in the state of Tennessee over the last several years. We haven't talked to her in a year or so. Victoria Jackson's in studio with us. Hey, hold on just a second. Let me get Belle over here to start paying attention to what we're doing on the show. All right, there you go.
I'm a big fan of Scott Cepicky.
Hey, Victoria.
Hello, Matt.
How are you?
You are so skinny.
That's not true.
No,
But thank
since
you.
I last
Thank
saw you, all your weight got into my double chin.
Victoria, he's not skinnier. His head's bigger.
He looks kind of like Elvis now.
Oh, God.
Like Elvis in 75? Yeah, about 75.
84.
75.
Elvis in 84.
60.
Even Elvis, have y'all see, this is what you do. You squirrel me. Have y'all been to see some of the outfits that Elvis used to wear? Mm-hmm. Elvis was tiny until the end. I mean, tiny until the end.
He looked good, though.
Oh, look, I mean, even in like 72, 73, he looked great. It wasn't until there was a big blow up.
So what were you guys talking about?
Thank you, Victoria.
Wool porn
Nothing.
in the schools?
Listen.
No.
Listen,
I've been fighting that.
when it's Victoria Jackson getting us back on topic. That's so. Yes, you have been fighting that. We were talking about school, the choice, the ability for parents to choose educational opportunities for the kids. This is huge because our friends, quote unquote, on the left want us to believe that if we just spent a little more money, that everything would be fine. And I've for a long time, and you're kind of putting the meat on the bone here. For a long time, I've said, how much money is enough? How much do you need? And now we know that in just over, 11 fiscal years, 10 fiscal years, that we've seen a decrease in enrollment. We've seen an increase of roughly $2.6 billion in spending.
40%.
And test scores have gone down.
Yes.
What do you think it is?
The system is broken. Mm-hmm. It needs to be fixed. We are trying to fix that with the Education Freedom Act. We are going back to the belief that if I scale back my testing, I provide more teaching time for my teachers, that they will get us better results because the classroom will be focused more on education instead of data collection. We have to stop this data collection that's going on in our classrooms because it's taking away from the educational opportunities of our kids.
Well, and toward what Victoria alluded to, sadly, so often it is the case that we can't get above the waterline to tackle these issues because we're fighting to keep pornography out of our libraries. We're fighting to keep, gay pride flags out of our classrooms, which whatever, that's fine for outside of the classroom. It has no place inside the classroom. We're fighting these ridiculous cultural battles instead of fighting the battle of getting a better educational opportunity to our students.
Reading, writing, and math.
Yeah.
That's what we got to start fighting. And, I'm going to throw some numbers out here, and I'm a numbers guy. Data is what drives everything. Metro Nashville, one of our biggest districts in the state, right? Metro Nashville's academic success in 3 through 5 grades, 26.2% of the kids are on grade level.
26.2.
26.2 in 3 through 5. In 6 through 8, it drops to 22.5. And in 9 through 12, it drops to 20.4.
Wrong direction.
Okay. We got a problem there. And we got a 93% graduation rate.
What you said from the beginning regarding the Retention Act and retaining third graders before they get moved on to fourth grade, that if you don't catch them there, and we say it almost every time you're on, if you don't get them early, and I would like to back it up, I think you would like to back it up to kindergarten.
That's coming.
That if you don't get them early, it's impossible to catch them when they're in the 7th grade. It's impossible to catch them up.
Well, yeah, because you've got a teacher sitting there that we're paying to teach 5th grade math. But if they're on a 3rd grade level, they don't get it. But she's being paid to teach 5th grade math. So we've got to rework the foundations of education in Tennessee, which we're trying to do. We've got to free up with less testing, more teaching. Ask any coach in the world. You give me more time to prepare, I'm going to get you better results.
You know, I've told this story over the years a number of times, and I'll just relate it real quickly again, but it goes to the point of what you're saying, and it goes to the point of trying to destructure education and figure out a better way for all of the students in Tennessee. I had a friend in Montgomery, Alabama. I had just gotten to Montgomery, Alabama. I had a friend who was an art teacher in a public high school, and she regularly expressed her incredible frustration with the way that things were. And she said, I'll give you an example. She said, in my class of 40 kids, she said, I have several kids that I truly believe are gifted, that could truly do something with their art, be it painting or sculpture or whatever. And she said, and I have some kids on the other end that are mentally disabled, like literally mentally disabled. And she said, I am told by the state of Alabama that I have to teach those kids exactly the same. And she said, which way do you think that goes, Matt? Do you think it goes to elevating or does it go to popsicle sticks? It goes to popsicle sticks.
That's why my daughter's homeschooling. My grandchildren are brilliant. And my church, Calvary Chapel, Columbia, just started a Christian school. And I applied for a job as a teacher. And I accidentally sent my photo. I was trying to send my headshot, but I'm not good with technology. I accidentally sent the close-up of my colon from my last colonoscopy. I haven't heard back. Okay, that whole story was true, except for the joke at the end.
Maybe not testifying anymore in committee.
Yeah, my heart means well. But
well, no, but you're right. And this is what Victoria just said. This is the point, that parents are going to figure out a better way. Those that are engaged and those that are able financially. What this does is create an opening, an opportunity, and it's a beginning. And I understand that your political opponents want to nitpick this thing to death about what it doesn't do.
They've tried.
Instead of focusing on what it does do. And that is open up opportunities for parents to seize those educational tools and better the opportunities for their kids.
Here is the most frustrating thing in committee, Matt, is I've got Democrats in Nashville and in Memphis that are arguing against this bill, right? And they already have school choice in their district. All they're voting on is the benefits for their public school, really.
Mm-hmm.
They already have it. And it perplexes me is that they don't see past their nose that they have an opportunity to revolutionize their K through 12 public school system, and they can't get past a voucher word. And they already have it in their district. And here's the other thing. It's very successful in Metro Nashville, and it's still about $7,500. And kids are finding access into private school.
All right, so when we come back, we got a quick break to take. We'll find out how do we herd these cats between well, I don't want to assume that you've got the votes in the House. I'll ask you that in a moment, and then we'll figure out if this and I know you're hopeful, and you should be, and we want to find out what the people that are listening in the audience can do to assist if they're in support of this. And I've got a number of questions from the Members Nutrition. We have a super text line now, Victoria. And the folks ask the questions on the Members Nutrition super text line, and you're gonna feel the wrath of this coming up in just about 20 minutes or so. It's the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, we're at that point in the year where we're back and forth, right? When it comes to your air conditioning and your heat, You go from heat in the morning because it's chilly to AC in the afternoon. I mean, we get it. It's Tennessee after all. And since I've been here, that's the deal in the spring and the fall. Well, you're running that unit a little more often, and that might cause a problem or two. And if you experience that, Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, they're there for you. Jeff wants to maintenance your unit as well, and he wants to keep the money point low. So he has guaranteed that he'll never charge you over $125 for any maintenance call. And it does not matter how many AC units or how many heating units you have on your property. Call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. I like to say if your AC's not ready, call Jeff Eddy. Maintenance once a year. You do this with your teeth. You get your oil changed in your car. Why in the world wouldn't you get that $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 AC system checked up once a year for less than $125 to make sure that it's going to be running all throughout the summer and you get maximum life out of that unit? 615-784-4424. Diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and Elite Pro partner with Rheem. It's Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. One more good segment with Representative Scott Sapicki sitting in with us. It's a legislative roundup primarily discussing education legislation. A lot of you have questions from the Members Nutrition Super text line, and we'll get to those momentarily. Victoria Jackson has gotten here early. She was concerned about being towed. I have assured her, Bell, that she will not get towed from the front of our building. Is my assurance, should I be confident in my assurance, or what's the story there?
Depends on where she parked.
Well, she parked right in front of the building.
If it's right in front of the building, she should be fine.
Okay. Everybody keeps saying she should be fine, which is interesting.
Well, you got those rogue.
I just said that to make you.
You got those rogue tow companies out there that just steal your car.
She'll be fine.
Well, there's a rumor out there that Bell K, Freddie O'Connell, you never see him in the same spot.
It's true.
Oh, stop it! Hey, you know what? You just can't stand the heat.
Look at it. Dan.
You just can't stand the heat of a voter calling you out for screwing up their emotional support cobra going into restaurants with them.
Fried cobra sounds pretty good.
Where were you on? What were we talking to Jody Barrett about yesterday? I'm trying to remember. I'm determined that I would ask Scott about this. What I considered what was the issue that we were talking with Jody about? I got on to Jason Zachary about. You remember what I'm talking about yesterday?
Oh, the banking, the debanking.
Where were you on the debanking, Bill?
I voted for it.
Why?
To protect from, in the banking industry, you want the long version or short version?
I mean, you can do. I mean, it's up
Well,
to
the long
you.
version. So basically, what we're doing is we're protecting people from ESG being used against you to be able to determine whether or not you can borrow money, have bank accounts, do transactions.
Right.
And so we were in support of that to stop that from happening.
Right. So you're is that conservative government? That the government would tell banks how to do their business?
No, we're telling the government that you can't do that. They were getting pressure from the government to do it.
Right.
And so we said, no, you're not going to do that.
Why did we exclude all the Tennessee banks?
That would be the question for the sponsor.
I had the sponsor on yesterday.
I know you did.
I know. I respect it. I just, asked and answered. Just wanted to get into that. A lot of people are asking you questions. Victoria's trying to find a car.
Okay. I gotta say it. When Hillary.
I parked in the lot, but I got locked in.
Remember the debates when Hillary was trying to talk and Trump's walking around behind her?
So
There's Victoria walking around.
Victoria, as we were talking about banking regulations, Victoria got up and she's speaking out of the.
Should I move my car?
She's looking for a car.
No, you're fine. If you're right in front of the building, you're fine. Victoria.
Yeah.
If you get towed, in the unlikely,
You will pay?
I will pay.
Will you pay for my cell phone that I lost today if someone ran over it?
I will not.
Okay.
I will not. I don't
Just
think
towing.
the towing. I'm good. The cell phone. I think that one's on you.
Okay.
When did you lose your? We'll do this at 2
You
o'clock.
keep talking about the money thing. Keep talking. I don't like numbers. I'm going to zone out. I trust Scott. Whatever Scott Sapecki says, I vote for him.
So Scott says Joe writes in and says, Scott says we're collecting too much data. I think he's misrepresenting what you're saying, but whatever. I'll read it as written. Scott says we're collecting too much data, but then he says he's a numbers guy and he cites data. How do we overcome Heisenberg and measure without destroying the process? Actually, he ended up with a good question there, and that is the balance. You feel like the balance has tipped to too much testing.
Way too much. Well, I'll give you an example. Our average middle schoolers right now take 15 tests a year. They are testing about every 2.5 weeks. All we're doing is reconfirming that they haven't learned the material because the teacher has to start the test prep, then they have to test, then they have to reevaluate the test, then they have to start preparing for the next test. What we're saying is, okay, we're going to test English, language, arts, and math in grades 3 through 9. We got to know that. Science will be every 3 years. And then in 6 through 8, we'll have a social studies test. That keeps us compliant with federal law. Now we've reduced almost 40% of the tests that our kids are having to take, which does what? Frees up the classroom for more educational time. We're still going to get our test results. We're just not going to get over test results.
This question comes in from 9090 on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. Does school funding come from, and I'm getting a lot of versions of this. Basically, does school fund, where's this money coming from? They want to know.
Okay, so we are not touching, I'm going to say this one more time. We are not touching the TISA funding formula, which is our public school funding model. That's not being touched. We are creating a separate fund, which is a benefit. That's very important. It's a benefit to people who qualify for it from the general fund. We're going to create a fund. The reason why it has to be a benefit because we have to allow in public school anybody who shows up, and people coming across the border right now, anybody who shows up is entitled to an education. But if it's a public benefit, like this program would be to take advantage of the scholarship, we can say that you have to be a U.S. citizen to take advantage of this benefit. Therefore, we put parameters and protections in there. So we are not touching public education. And what happens is we fund public education based off the attendance numbers from the previous year. So in May, they'll take an attendance number of all the kids that are in Metro Nashville.
Right.
And then we will fund those students, 70,000 students. We'll fund those for the previous year. The following year, under the scholarship, if they leave the system, we will stop sending the money for those kids. But what will happen is the local match will still continue. So they'll have less students with more money to do it with.
40, good answer. 4540 writes in and says, I've asked this multiple times. I've gotten no sufficient answer. Well, that's what Scott's here for. What does the legislation do for the children whose parents don't care that are stuck in the schools that people are trying to get out of or away from? I'll read it again, because I think it's an oddly worded question, but I think it's a good question.
So how do we help the parents that don't care they're in the schools?
I mean, yeah, it's fair.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
What happened in Florida is when school choice happened, it had parameters on it, like our bill does, right? Only so many people were allowed to take advantage of it because it had to grow through time. What we saw in the public school is the parents that applied and couldn't get it, they got engaged with their public schools going, okay, well, if my kid's going to be here, then I'm going to have a conversation with my teacher. I'm going to get involved with my school. And what we saw in Florida was they went from like 42nd in the country, 4 years later in the top 15 in the public school sector, because parents got involved in the public schools. What is the key ingredient? What is the missing ingredient in education right now? Is parental involvement in our public schools.
Parents.
Amen.
Parents.
How do you make a law to make parents care? That's the tricky thing.
Well,
Hey, I got to say, I agree with less testing. I am reading a book about Charlotte Mason, her philosophy of education. She was in the 1880s to apply for this job of teaching I'm telling you about. And she believed in less testing. And she believed in breaking up the learning into little chunks so the kids don't get bored. And she believed in when you read a story to them, then you make them tell it back to you. Great stuff, Charlotte Mason. People should look her up. But I got to tell you, Common Core, I was fighting that. And they're the ones who want all the testing and make math like insane. Well, 10 years ago, have they changed the name? They keep changing the name of Common Core so that right when we can start fighting it, they change the name.
That's a great question. One of the things we do in the General Assembly is we stop banning names of things. We start looking at the concepts, right? Because if they change the name, if it says Matt Murphy and they change it to Bell, right? Well, Matt's banned, but Bell's not. But if we ban the concept, it doesn't matter what name they change it to. You're banning the concepts.
You can call that Cobra anything you want to, Belle. It's still not going into that restaurant.
Her name is Spicy.
That's what Sapiki just said, right? Yeah. Right just then. So what do you think needs to happen? I don't mean to be the negative Nelly, but, you know, I hear things coming from the General Assembly, and I hear the Senate doesn't really like a lot of the other stuff that goes along with the scholarship plan, and I hear that the House really does, and you know, there's a lot of cats that you're herding over there in the House, and in order to keep those cats herded, a lot of these components, some of the members feel like they need those components to support it and to take it back to their constituents back home. From the Senate side of things, they say they want to keep it as clean as possible. How do we marry these two things, Scott?
Well, I think you got to have conversations between both groups. I know that the speakers are talking weekly and daily, if not daily. I know our leadership, Jack Johnson and William Lamberth, are talking about this. I've had conversations with Chairman Lundberg in Education. Chairman Watson in the Senate have asked me questions about this bill and asked other members. I think it's the magnitude of the House bill that has everybody kind of stepping back at first.
Mm-hmm.
When we have time to explain it, and trust me, I've explained this bill in 3 committees over 9 hours. 9 hours. When you start to hear what's in the bill, not only for the parameters we put in place so it doesn't get financially out of control, right, and protects the state of Tennessee on the school choice side, but also when you start looking at what we're doing in public education, the light bulbs start to go off like, I get why they're both together. We're going to do everything we can for public schools to transform them, but you know what? There's going to be some parents that feel like their kids' educational needs aren't being met. So let's give them an off-ramp. And let's do this. Let's have the best K through 12 system in the country, and let's have the best school choice in the country, too, and marry them both together. It can be done. We're Tennessee.
You know, I mentioned Alabama, and one of the concerns already, you know, they passed their school choice legislation, and they didn't have any outward caps on
so did Georgia.
The program, and there's already a fear, based on the response that they're saying, it's about to become Arizona.
Yeah.
So I think it's smart that you're thinking along those lines, because I think that this program, if passed in the state of Tennessee, is not going to fail for a lack of desire for participation.
Right. But we have to make sure that we're just not funding something to fund something. We have to fund something that's getting us positive results educationally for these kids. And that's why we put the parameters in place so it grows slowly.
I know you're aware there was an immigration rally that happened yesterday at on the State House steps.
Yeah.
And, I'm fully supportive of trying to press the General Assembly to do everything that Tennessee can possibly do. But you made mention of this, and I just wanted your thoughts on it, because there's a lot of people that are hitting me up saying we need to stop funding illegal aliens in our school systems. And I try to remind them, I know you're aware of this, that, we're a nation of laws, and I'm all about challenging this and getting it in the court system. But there was a Supreme Court decision back in '82 that kind of hamstrings you guys from making those types of decisions as a General Assembly.
That is correct. The Supreme Court ruling was basically any student that shows up is entitled to a free public education.
Without regard to their legal status.
It does not matter. You're not even allowed to ask them anymore.
Right.
And so when they show up, and trust me, folks, it's all over Tennessee right now. It's all over our country right now. This is because of a policy from the federal government, i.e. Joe Biden, that has brought the border to every Tennessee county. And, whether you like President Trump or not, we did not have this problem when he was the president of the United States.
Amen.
And so we've got to get this under control. The biggest problem we have right now, Matt, is how are we going to be able to identify all these people? That's why with this school choice bill, we made it perfectly clear that if you're not a U.S. citizen, you can a U.S. citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. Not legally here, a U.S. citizen, that you cannot participate in this program.
How's everything else going before you go? How's
Great.
everything else going? Justin Jones minding his business down there?
It was very funny today. We were on the House floor, and we get accused of calling the question all the time, right? Making us vote on a bill.
Right.
Before everybody wants to sometimes. And so the Democrats raise their hands and they object, right? And it's overturned mostly all the time. Well, today, Antonio Parkinson is a Democrat from Memphis, and he had a bill in the well. It was a good bill. And the Justins and some other Democrat colleagues were basically pounding him in the well for 30 minutes on his bill, making him defend it. And they were going after him. And somebody stood up and called the question. And the Republicans all went up and objected to it because they wanted to watch the abuse continue on for a little bit longer. It was a funny moment. Everybody kind of chuckled on the House floor. But the one thing I want to tell everybody, this is important, though. This is very important. Human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
It is getting out of control. We are spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to stop this scourge that's affecting all of our children everywhere, right? And so we've got to figure out how we're going to get this under control. We have added more state troopers. We've added more state troopers.
Thank you, Bill.
To go and try to figure out how we can stop this and do the interdictions. But be aware, as a human being, be aware of situations and look for the telltale signs.
Can
go
I
ahead.
say The Sound of Freedom was a fantastic movie?
It was.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And why didn't it get an Oscar? Hello. That's all I wanted to say. Hello.
Before you,
I'll have to carry around the General Assembly.
you're welcome to
just follow me
stay.
around.
She's going to be here talking about. She's going in Columbia. She's going to be at the Mule House, man.
I got to speak. I got to speak later on.
So one more thought on this,
Yes.
and look, I'm not here to stroke the ego of Cameron Sexton. And I believe, as critical as anyone, how things got out of control last year.
Mm-hmm.
Does he deserve a little credit? Does leadership deserve a little credit for keeping it in the boundaries this year? Because trust me, those names that we just mentioned, they're trying to test the patience of every Republican on the floor, particularly those in leadership.
Well, I think what we've basically done is go ahead and get your 5 minutes. We're going to listen to what you have to say, and then we're going to do what's best for Tennessee.
Right.
Right? And we're not going to come back at you. We're not going to fight with you because it takes two people to create an argument.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what you're arguing overwhelmingly has been rejected by the people of Tennessee based off the supermajority. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue on with the business of Tennessee, and I think we're doing a pretty good job, Matt, because over the last 10 years, 1 million more people have come to Tennessee. Probably since we've been on the air, I think there's been 42 more in Metro Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
So we're doing things right, and people are coming here because they want to take advantage of the Tennessee experience, and as members of the General Assembly, it's our job not to mess it up and keep driving it forward.
Who you got in the tournament, Scott?
Purdue.
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 The Boilermakers.
Yeah, they've got that big center.
You know what? You can take the Yankee out of the North, but you can't take the North
I
out
will
of
tell
the
you this,
Yankee.
though. This is a guaranteed lock. Bell, you ready for this, right? Guaranteed lock in the tournament.
Uh-huh.
Georgia will not win it. Guaranteed lock.
Finally we get a thank you. Fine. You know, it's about time that Sapicki came in here and said something that was true.
Hey, you know the next 3 Georgia's going to make is a field goal.
Well, you know.
I love Scott Sapicki.
We love Scott Sapicki.
Thank
Thank
you
you, Scott. There's Representative Scott Sapicki. Victoria Jackson will be up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Pat Davis and Your Health Plan Man, yourhealthplanman.com. We've been talking about choice and freedom with regard to education. I want to talk to you a little more about choice and freedom when it comes to your health insurance, because so many people feel like they're just stuck with their employment insurance. And I understand why you would feel that way, even if you don't like it, even if you feel like it's too expensive, or maybe even worse, you don't currently have insurance, or you're on COBRA and you don't know what to do next. Call Pat Davis. He is with Your Health Plan Man. He is Your Health Plan Man. You can find him online at yourhealthplanman.com or give him a call, and I'll give you that number in just a moment. Here's the deal. He does not limit himself to one insurance company. He shops all insurance companies, and in doing so, he finds the best deal for you. In other words, he doesn't work for the insurance companies. He works for you. That's a fundamental difference in the way that he does things versus some of these guys that only work for one or two companies. Secondarily, he's going to find lowest cost at best benefit for you, meaning you don't have to pay for things that you don't want. Like, for example, the easiest example is maternity leave. I mean, if you're 60 years old, you don't need to pay for maternity leave because you're not going on maternity leave anytime soon, or if you're a guy. So these things are 30 to 60% lower in cost than Obamacare. Your monthly premiums are independent of your income, so you don't have to worry about that. Go to yourhealthplanman.com, yourhealthplanman.com, or 855-475-2662. That's 855-4-PLAN-MAN. They design a plan that's managed by you, not by the government. It's yourhealthplanman.com.
2 o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 64 degrees, sunny day in Music City. Spring really has sprung. Got a weather forecast coming up in a couple minutes. Right now in the volunteer state, Megan Hall, the only female officer that was fired after being connected to the Laverne Police Department sex scandal, has now reached a $500,000 settlement with the city. Hall and 4 other officers were fired back in January of 2023 after an investigation showed she and other male officers had sex on the job and then lied about it. Hall's lawsuit claimed that she had been a victim of sexual harassment and was groomed for, quote, sexual exploitation, reading, quote, where Ms. Hall sought role models at her new job, she instead found predators. Hall's settlement money will not come from taxpayer dollars. The city's insurance provider will pay the sum of $500,000 to Hall as a gross settlement. And New York Attorney General Letitia James has begun the groundwork for possibly seizing former President Trump's assets in Westchester County. This as Mr. Trump's appeal efforts face a Monday deadline for a bond to cover the $464 million civil fraud judgment. Aaron Katersky is in New York.
This is something of a baby step, but an initial step by the Attorney General to try and potentially seize Trump's properties in Westchester County, north of New York City. The judgment of the court came in Manhattan, so if the Attorney General wants to take possession of any of Trump's properties, if he can't get the bond in Westchester County, then she needed to file the judgment there, and that's what she has done.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
How do I make it not so loud?
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to tell you about my friend Steve Abramowitz in the Mill Creek View, Tennessee podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are out and about over the weekends and the evenings, if you've listened to Super Talk 99.7 WTN all day long and you're looking for a podcast that I would recommend, then it's the Mill Creek View, Tennessee podcast. Steve is great at what he does, and I'm on there on occasion. And as a matter of fact, just the other day, we had our monthly edition of Murphy's Law. You can find it. Go to mcview.us. That's mcview.us. Look up the podcast page, and you'll see my ugly mug there, and you'll see Steve's pretty one, and off we go. I think we talked for the better part of an hour about things going on in the state of Tennessee, around the United States of America, and around the globe. That's what he does, whether it's politics or entertainment, artists, cultural touchstones, cultural figures. They do it all at the Mill Creek View, Tennessee podcast. You can find them anywhere you find podcasts. Just look up Mill Creek View, Tennessee, and off you go. Mill Creek View, mcview.us. That's mcview.us. You know, I have discovered something about myself today, and I want to share with you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, it's 2:04. A couple of programming notes in just a few moments. It's right beneath you. Hold on a second.
How do I hear myself more?
Okay, you want to hear yourself? Do you and me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, I hear me too. Never mind. Keep going.
Okay. I have Mac Maury, our illustrious newsman and key figure in Friday Mac Attack, will not be here tomorrow. That's correct, right, Maury?
That is correct.
And so we have Friday Mac Attack on Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Or more importantly, what music festival is it going to?
Yeah. What is it? Music festival season already? I guess it's spring, Bell.
Yeah,
that would make
spring.
sense.
Which,
Right?
which show is it?
This is the March Madness Music Festival. It's a pretty crazy one. Great lineup.
Are you going with me later on?
I think I've got plans with my father.
Stop
I got my.
it.
I do.
Oh no, you don't know about the loft that I can get us into downtown.
Oh my God.
With Brent Daugherty.
Well, I told you tomorrow.
And Ron Slay.
Wait, what?
More
wow.
on that later on after Friday Mac Attack on Thursday. That's coming up at 2:35. And what is the subject of today's Friday Mac Attack draft?
Drafting the best sevens. So it could be continents, could be wonders of the world, days of the week, the best 7-11. I gave some really good draft picks just there. So
I don't think I understand this, but we're going to discuss it more in just a moment. I've also discovered something about myself. I don't care what Victoria Jackson is talking about. I don't care who she's talking to. I don't care whatever subject of you're choosing. I think she makes me smile every time I see her face and every time I hear her voice.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Victoria Jackson.
I wish my husband would say that.
And I was trying to remember, we had you on so long ago, and then we had like a rift, and I can't even remember what it was about, and I don't want to. You remember that?
Yes, but you were so gracious because I called you and said, you dissed me yesterday. My friend told me. And then you had me on and apologized. I mean, who does that? So I love you.
Yeah, well, I love you too.
That's pretty sweet.
You're a good woman. And you're a good Tennessee woman. I mean, you didn't have to pick Tennessee, but you did.
We've been here 11 years. We followed our grandchildren and children here.
Well, maybe then you did have to pick
We did
Tennessee.
but it's the best place I've ever lived.
And you've got a lot of things going on. You got a new CD out, and you have a show that you're doing later on this month.
Yes.
And you hit me up and you said, "Hey, can I come by?" And I said, "Absolutely, you can come by every day if you want to."
Well, you're very sweet because no one knows about it. You can't sell tickets if no one knows. So thank you for letting me tell that I have a big show.
Wait a minute, before you tell about the show, tell everybody why. Well, no, tell about the show first. I want you to tell about the show first, and then I'm going to make you tell what you told me about Facebook.
What did I tell you?
You have a Facebook page that you can't put.
47,000 people on my Facebook page, one of them.
Right.
I can't post anything on it. I have spent over 12 hours. There's no humans to talk to. And I click and I click and I click. It's really affecting my health. Click, click, click. So the Mule House, they go, we want to put ads on your 47,000 people Facebook. I'm like, I can't get into it. And she tried. My PR agent, everybody's trying. I can't get in it.
I think I can help you.
They all say that.
Okay, just give me your cell phone and we'll work it out.
Oh, lost myself. Very funny.
You lost your cell phone today?
I think it flew off the car and someone drove over it. I don't know. When we're done, I'm going to go searching.
You are, Victoria, you're just a hot mess.
Yes, but you see, I'm writing songs in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know where that comes from.
Where'd that come from? Oh, that's from
you.
Saturday Night Live.
That is.
That's when I was telling Dennis Miller, number 1, I'm a mother. Number 2, I'm a Christian. Number 3, I should say number 1, I'm a Christian. But the joke wouldn't have worked as good.
Uh-huh.
And it's a comedy show.
Right.
So the whole joke was that I was showing videos of my baby at the news desk.
Aw.
And so he was scolding me, and I said, number 1, I'm a mother. Number 2, I'm a Christian. Number 3, I'm a wife lover. Number 4, I'm a journalist. Dennis, 4. So anyway, thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, so back to the Mule House. So they wanted you to promote.
Yeah.
And you can't get on your Facebook. What, are you just locked out?
I go, but I know Matt Murphy.
Well, I mean, for better or worse.
Thank you.
Here I am. And you when are you down? Before I get away, when are you at the Mule House?
March 30th, the night before Easter. But you'll be out by 10 and you'll get to go home and do the egg thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 7 to 10 at the Mule House in Columbia, Great venue. Have you ever been there?
I have. I've been to the Mule House for, I think, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters did a thing down there
It's so
last
charming.
year.
It used to be
It
a
is incredible.
church,
Yeah,
and
it's
all
beautiful.
carved wood and a balcony and great stage, great sound system. I went there to see Point of Grace. So anyway, also in my show is Lee Harden, dry bar comedy, great guy, and Darby Capolino, a 20-year-old singer who's my little actress friend. Me and her are actually going to be in a play at TPAC, Tennessee Performing of the Arts, in June, a play called The Answer. She's playing a heroin addict. I'm playing a grandmother. She's going to be in my show.
Wow.
And then also my professor from Lipscomb, Bryn Daniels, who moonlights as a stand-up comic and is a Lipscomb professor in the daytime. She's in my show.
So this is, I mean, how would you describe the show? I mean, is it
Well,
stand-up?
Yeah, I do 45 minutes of stand-up, maybe an hour. And they do stand-up, and Darby's going to sing. And it's my act I've been doing a long time, and I have a few new jokes.
How do you do that? I mean, do you keep a lot of the older stuff? Do you let new stuff just kind of blend in, or do you do completely new stuff, or how do you do it?
Well, I think most comics have a set routine. They know where the laughs will be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know in this 45 minutes, everywhere, everyone's going to laugh. And then you throw in a few new things in the middle because you're not sure. And then if it doesn't work, you know you're going to go swim to the island of the big laugh soon. But I've been listening to Spade and Carvey on their Fly on the Wall show, and
It's so good.
Yeah,
It really is very good.
It is. Dana's the best stand-up in the world. Seinfeld is great. And I noticed everyone else just talks about themselves. I'm like, well, that's what I do. Because you write what you know.
I got a new guy for you to listen to.
Who?
I got a new guy for you to listen to. I've met him. His name's Dusty Slay.
I've heard of him.
He grew up in Opelika, Alabama. So there's a little bit of a, I know you went to Auburn for a year.
Yes, and I was born in Opelika, Florida.
So, and he's very funny. He lives here in the greater
I've
Nashville area.
seen
I think he's
him.
in Hermitage.
He's good.
He's very long hair. He wears a trucker hat. Funny
Yes,
guy, funny guy.
I know him.
Yeah, funny guy.
Brian Bates is funny.
Yeah, and he's good friends with Brian. They do the Nate Land thing with Nate Bargatze.
Yes, and I just went to see Heather Land at the Mule House, and she was very funny.
So
yeah.
it's you and friends, 3 full hours. That's a lot. That's a full
7 to 8. You get your drink and you chat and you
Okay,
settle
so
down.
meet and greet.
8 to 10 is sheer entertainment. You forget all about the wars,
Sheer-
Ukraine war, the Russia. You forget about
unadulterated.
Biden bumping into walls. You forget about what's her name, the rock star.
AOC.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, well.
You
her
forget
too.
about
Yeah.
whether or not her boyfriend is going to marry her, knock her up, and she's going to get fat and lose her career. You forget worrying about that. You push it all aside, and you just rest. And then I will make you laugh, ma'am.
I love seeing that's. You wouldn't know it to see him, but see the guy.
Oh, I love Taylor.
Yeah, we love
That's
Tay-Tay.
Taylor.
That's Taylor.
Hey, I spent a lot of
She
money.
didn't say she was going to get fat and knocked up. She said she could.
It happens.
Literally just lied to your guest's face.
What?
What?
You do not like Taylor
No,
Swift.
no. I like you, and I like Victoria, and I recognize that you
Shake
two.
it off.
Like,
Shake it
Oh,
off.
yeah.
Shake it off. Shake it off. I took my daughters to her concert here.
do you have to
and-
hide underneath the stadium? Was that show the one where there was a thunderstorm?
The rain show?
The rain show?
It
Do you
was,
remember?
It
No,
was
you
rainy.
would remember it.
It was rainy, but it was patches. I was there, and it was patches.
It was
of-
okay.
But yeah. But I had to go to the bathroom a lot. I had to go up 1,000 steps, and I had to go to the bathroom. Then when we were but it was so expensive. But I love my daughter, and she loves Tay-Tay.
So it was you and your daughter?
And my 2 daughters.
You have 2.
Yeah.
2 kids?
Yes, Scarlett Hildebeidel is a writer-speaker. She
Mm-hmm.
writes Christian books about Jesus. Yay, Jesus! And he's the answer to everything. And my other daughter, and they're both, that daughter, 38, just got pregnant with grandchild number 4. And my other daughter's 29. She's trying to have a baby now.
So are all the grandkids from the older daughter, or?
Yeah, so far.
So far, but your 29-year-old wants to have kids too.
She's just starting.
So you're just adding to the, I mean, how do you like being a grandma?
They built their dream house in Colioca.
Colioca.
And the other
I know Colioca. I've never been there, I don't think, but I know the
other
name.
one built their dream house in Spring Hill. 5 acres with a donkey and chickens. And
What are you? You're technically, what, Thompson Station, somewhere in there?
I have a house in Columbia for when my husband is mean to me. And I have a house in Thompson Station when he's nice to me.
Where do you stay more? Where do you stay more often?
Well, it depends if I want him to take the dog out because I don't like taking the dog out in the middle of the night. So if I don't feel like that, I go back and forth.
So, Mule House, the 30th, 2 full hours of comedy greatness. And including in that is another hour of meet and greet and mingle, and you never know what'll happen. Will the ukulele show up?
Yes, I have ukulele songs, and I just showed you my new CD.
I'm looking at this.
These are 18 songs I wrote since I moved to Nashville. It's called When I Get to Nashville. I started humming this song in my white pickup truck when I was driving here from when we moved here, and my 3 dogs were on the front seat. Mm-hmm. And I was going, when I get to Nashville, when I get to Nashville, I'm gonna knock 'em dead. And I was thinking of this song. That's 11 years ago. And then I wrote all about our struggling marriage, like, how do you undo I do? Oh, yeah. How do you undo I do? And and then I write about my children. I write about Jesus. Dear God,
what is you wrote a song called "Let's Write a Song in the Woods."
Let's write a song in the woods. We can keep in our hearts. I'm not a singer, but I do it anyway. Hey, I got some. Belle has the title track. You want to play that one? The When I Get to Nashville? I co-wrote this with Ray Stevens' writing partner, Buddy Kolb. Yeah.
All right. Well, give me a little of this. When I get to Nashville, a little portion of When I Get to Nashville on Super Talk 99.7
we were doing a
WT.
movie with Ray Stevens, and Buddy was on the set, and I showed him my little song, and he goes, "Can I tinker with that tonight?" And I go, "Sure."
You know what? And I say this as an extreme compliment. Something just occurred to me.
What?
Victoria Jackson. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. Mac Morey, Belle K, tell me if I'm wrong. And I mean this with sincerity and love. You're like what human beings would be like if they didn't have the ability not to say things that they thought. It's like everything that comes to your mind.
I am holding back, though.
Oh, no, you're not.
The amazing thing is I'm holding back a lot. You don't want to know.
It's stream of consciousness. I love it.
I think it's yes. Give me some. You got it. You had it when we were in there a minute ago.
And while you were playing it, I was setting it up.
Don't listen to my voice. Look at my finger. No, don't listen to her. Yeah, there you go. Wow, that was what you wrote that about 11 years ago?
Well, you have to hear the end. The end goes, I'll be the only standing on her head. Well, everybody has a gimmick. I mean, Dolly Parton has 2 gimmicks. I'll have 3 because I can do a handstand. If Dolly Parton did a handstand, she'd suffocate herself. That's at the end of the song, but we didn't get to it yet. But I'm bummed. Oh, Matt, you're so sweet to have me on to plug my show March 30th at the Mule House in Columbia.
Talking to Victoria Jackson's like holding a box of frogs.
What is that?
We're just jumping all over the place.
Boing, boing, boing.
I mean,
But we always get back around to
No, we do. No, you're a bundle of joy. You're absolutely
Thanks.
so much fun.
Well,
Now, tell me more about not being able to get into Facebook.
Facebook. Oh,
I don't know. We're moving beyond.
Password.
You didn't do anything wrong, did you? They didn't shut you down or lock you down
I
because
don't know.
of how you probably
Politics.
told the truth about COVID-19 and they locked you down.
I probably said Trump was a great president.
And then chunk,
shut me down.
Zuckerberg shut your eye down for that kind of stuff.
I probably said I don't believe in the vax.
Do you go in on? I mean, and I understand it's different for different comedians. I mentioned Dusty Slay, and he's become a friend, and he comes on occasionally, and he says, he's got political views, but he kind of leaves them off the stage. He's like, you know what? That's just not my bag. It's for some people, and that's all good. Do you kind of do the same thing?
Yes, I do not talk about politics or religion in my act because nobody wants to hear about that when they're relaxing and laughing. But but people know where I'm coming from. Mm-hmm. And like Rob Schneider, he is pretty conservative now.
Yep.
And he sold out all the shows at Zany's last time I went. So I guess if you're funny enough, you can be a conservative, but
I noticed that. I mean, but they're few and far between. I mean, sadly.
yes, there are.
I noticed that in the
I think
in the
Dana
CD.
Carvey is a secret conservative. He's doing.
Do you still
great
keep
jokes.
up with him?
I talked to him when I was at my dentist. This is so funny. I said to John Lovitz, I text him now and then. I go, why doesn't Dana have me on the Fly on the Wall? And he's like, I don't know. It's not my show. Ask him. I go, I don't have his number. So John did a 3-way call with me and Dana, and I was at my dentist. And my dentist was in the other room. And I go, Dana! And I forgot where I was because I was so excited to hear from him. And I go, why do you keep talking about me on Fly on the Wall and you never have me on? I go, Alec Baldwin was on there and he said my breasts look like garbage cans. I go, what does that even mean? And you didn't even defend me. Why did he say that? And I'm screaming. Then I realized I'm screaming, my breasts look like garbage cans at the dentist.
In the middle of the dentist.
Where it's really quiet and people are getting drilled. And so I'm still apologizing to my dentist. But anyway, I don't know what Alec Baldwin meant by that, except I think he's mad at me because I've said publicly that when he does Trump, he does it with hate. And you're supposed to be in comedy. You can't have hate. You have to have love.
I think that's why it didn't work for me because you could tell that his entire exploratory process was designed because he hated him.
Right.
I mean, I think you say exactly right. It's not, you're not embellishing. I mean, the guy that does him now, I think does a fine job on the show because he's just kind of over exaggerating those easy places to over exaggerate him.
Not gonna do it. See, Dana Carvey was the best because he would sound just like the guy, but then he'd put a little spin on the end that was clever. And, he wasn't just doing the person like Rich Little. He was doing the person like a little caricature.
Well, if
But
I ever
there was
had the
love.
chance to talk to Dana, I would tell him this because I've believed it for a long time. You can tell him when you're on the show, Fly on the Wall, is that like people that do George Bush Sr.,
Yeah.
they're not doing an impersonation of George. They're
doing
doing Dana
Dana.
Carvey.
We're all
Not gonna
copy-
do it, not
Yes.
gonna do it. Yeah, that kind of
And
stuff.
whenever we do Lorne, Lorne Michaels, we're doing Dana doing Lorne. We're all copying Dana, and we don't even know we're doing it.
You really believe he's the best stand-up?
Yeah, I do.
I'm telling you, if you've never seen the Naked Time bit where he talks about his kids and
Yes.
Naked Time, it's Naked Time. Bing.
Rob Schneider's
Hilarious.
brilliant, but he gets a little too dirty in some of it.
All right, I got to take a quick time out, and then we're going to come back. We're going to circle back to the Mule House and talk about your appearance at the Mule House later on this month. Victoria Jackson with us for another segment at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Little Victoria Jackson. Jealous Victoria. You can pick up a copy of this CD. You can go online and download it, or you can pick up a copy of this CD at the Mule House, I understand.
Yes, at my show March 30th at the Mule House in Columbia.
And you wanted to give a shout out to one of the producers?
Jim McBurney, who was NYPD. He talks like this. His whole family, they live in West Haven, and they talk like this, but they're country singers at heart, which is funny. And he and I met. His son was a 9/11 firefighter who survived and lost 100 of his best friends. A hero. And they live, here, and we're best friends. And I started hanging out with him, and I said, and he was in a band. He was a policeman by day and a band at night, and has all these machines, and he produced my album. And I want to thank him, Jim McBurney. You're the best. I love you. And that was him singing a duet with me. And there's this one title I loved called Stuck in a Minor Key. And I thought, that's the greatest title. I thought of it. But I couldn't think of this song. And I go, Jim, please write a song about a marriage, and it's Stuck in a Minor Key. And he wrote a great song on there. So we had a blast. And at the end of my album is stand-up comedy. So I think it would entertain someone for an hour on a long car ride. But, anyway, thanks, Jim. I love you.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
We love you, too. And thank you. I want to sell the Mule House out. How do we find? I mean, we can go to the Google machine and type in the Mule House.
themulehouse.com.
There you go.
Is where you get tickets.
There you go. Don't go to Victoria's Facebook. Well, you can go to Victoria's Facebook page. She just can't write you back.
Right. This is my farewell tour, but I do one.
You're not going anywhere.
Well, I'm getting old. I do one show a year. So this is my show for the year.
So this is your shot.
But then I got a gig in Michigan next month. But besides that, it's my farewell tour. Like Cher, you just keep saying farewell.
Well, it's right. It's like you're doing farewell tours, like the going out of business sales.
Yeah.
The businesses that do the going out of business sales every 6 months.
I can't hold a handstand anymore, but I have a lot of pictures of when I used to. My last handstand I could stick was at age 60 at my friend Lisa's dock at her lake.
What about that handstand led you to believe that maybe it was your last? Was it the way you felt after it? Did you fall over?
That's a good question.
Or did you just know? You just knew. That's it.
I've tried it since. When I went to Paris, I tried to do one with the Eiffel Tower in the back.
Yeah?
And I needed to prop my feet on the side of the windowsill. But it's a great shot, and I'm selling it at my show. It's a greeting card.
Well, look, I'm looking at your beautiful face right here on the Mule House website.
My aging face.
This says March 31st.
Should I age gracefully?
You said the 30th.
Should I do this?
No, don't do that.
Oh, no.
This says the 31st.
Oh, that's not right.
Well, I mean, I'm just letting you know.
Isn't Easter the 31st?
Hold on, let me check.
Well, it's not on Easter. It's the night before.
It's a Saturday?
Uh-huh.
Well, they need to fix that because that says Sunday. All right, well, we'll tell them.
Let's tell them.
Let's tell them. Hey, Mule House, you're being told your date's wrong. So you're Saturday night the 30th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's my granddaughter's birthday, so I know that it's the 30th.
All right, well. All right, well.
Yeah, really big show.
I'm going to click on the red dot to see. Okay, there's a few seats available. There's some taken. I'm looking at them right here.
Here's one of my new jokes.
For the wrong show, actually. All right, I want to hear. But we got to do it quick.
Okay. So the LGBTQ movement has actually been good for my marriage because I used to get jealous when a pretty girl would walk by my husband, but now I just go, dibs. I love that joke. I love it.
Do you?
I don't know if anyone else laughs, but
I laughed. I laughed. Victoria, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
so
spending
much.
some time with us. I hope your car's still there.
Me too. I'm gonna go look.
All right, we'll be back in a moment. Here's Mac Moore in the news on Super Talk 99.7 W10.
2:33. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 65 degrees, partly cloudy in Nashville. Just another gorgeous spring day here on Music Row. We got a weather forecast headed your way in 2 minutes. New York Attorney General Letitia James looks to be eyeing a seizure of former President Trump's golf club and private estate in Westchester County. Mr. Trump is facing a deadline just days away to come up with the bond to appeal his $464 million civil fraud judgment. Aaron Katursky on what the Attorney General might be seeking.
She could take some of the revenue from the golf course that it generates and steer it towards state coffers to help pay off the judgment should Trump lose his appeal. And these are steps that she's going to be doing as soon as Monday if Trump fails to secure the bond.
And back here in Tennessee with an update on a story from yesterday. A Rutherford County elementary school teacher suspended for assaulting a student. Emily Romine was caught on camera. Here's Channel 4 Sharon Dankwell with reaction from the mother, Amber Hodges, who was at the school board meeting last night to support her 6-year-old daughter.
Rutherford County Schools says surveillance cameras caught multiple incidences of Romine pulling on a student, pushing them, kicking their chair, and grabbing their arms.
To have an authority figure such as a teacher to discipline and push you up against that way where you don't have any control, you're young, you're small, and that's terrifying.
So Tuesday evening, board members took a vote.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Have anyone wishing to abstain?
They suspended Romine for 15 days and decided to move forward with 3 school violation charges of assaulting students and doing non-school related activities on her laptop instead of watching students eat lunch.
Romine is a teacher at Stewartsboro Elementary. And that is the latest news. Weather forecast next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you, 239. Very, very busy. Lots to get to on this Thursday edition of the show. We'll check in with Brian Wilson coming up in about 15 minutes or so, see what's happening on the drive. We are not ignoring any of the breaking news. As a matter of fact, we have a newscast coming up in about 20 minutes that will catch you up on what's happening in the news. I understand that there are things going on. We deviated a little bit from the politics for the last 30 minutes or so. And let me tell you this, Bell, I predict. There were many, many of you that absolutely loved the conversation with Victoria Jackson. I can't help but like Victoria. She is like holding a box of frogs. She is it is a fascinating experience being around Victoria Jackson. She is what all of us human beings would be if we did not have the ability to filter between thought and word. And I say that in love. So if you really, 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 Bell, hello, I'm just asking you to, I don't know, what are you looking at over there? What are you doing over there?
Getting ready for the draft.
Are you now? Why don't you go ahead and play the sounder? We've got lots to get into. If you hated Victoria Jackson, you're going to love this. Here it is.
Woo!
On Thursday, Friday Eve.
Yep.
See, I said it. I said it for you.
He did.
You said
it for you. No. I don't know. Look, I said it. I broke the machine.
It was like,
Murphy said Friday Eve. All right, so it's Friday Mac Attack on Thursday. And in the spirit of getting to it, I say hello, McMore.
Hello. What is going on, man?
CC, Cougar Chat. You're off tomorrow?
Half day tomorrow. I'll produce for Pamela 9 to noon.
And then a little music festival.
Yeah, a little music festival.
Yeah. So what are you going to watch some games?
Watch some games, yep.
Yeah.
Brother and dad.
Who doesn't love? I mean, come on.
The first 2 days are really when it's the most fun, right? It starts at 11 and it ends at 11. I mean, you get 24 hours.
You know what I love is that I hate the first half of basketball games. I don't really like basketball that much, although I'm, the wife's getting into it. I'm getting into it a little bit more. Yeah. I went to the tournament, yada, yada.
Okay.
So, but the first half of games, I just annoy me because I just feel like we're just getting to the last 5 minutes of the game, right? The first 2 days of this tournament, I mean, you're constantly looking at the last 5 minutes of games.
Yes, exactly.
And so there's constant excitement. There's constant enjoyment. Oh, that's what Bell was doing.
Yeah. He's getting ready.
Yeah, baby.
He's doing stuff.
Yeah, okay. It's Friday Mac Attack. We got about less than 10 minutes. Let's go.
Let's do it.
What are we
are going to draft the best sevens.
I don't know what that means.
So they're days of the week. Boom. There's 7 of those. Continents. There's 7 of those. You could draft there's a good movie out there with the title of this number. Maybe you could draft that. I don't want to keep getting draft picks away, but there's a lot of good things to draft.
So the best sevens in the history of sevens, whatever that means to you.
Yeah, wonders of the world. 7.
Okay. Bell, do you understand this topic?
Yeah, I'll be doing it my way.
There's some people out there going, I don't understand this segment, much less this topic. Okay, let's get to it. We draft every week on Friday Mac Attack. This time, Friday Mac Attack on Thursday, starring Cougar Chow, yours truly, Bell K. All right, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Dang. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Dang it.
Took 3 tries, but Bell is first. All right, go.
This is my favorite radio portion.
Yeah, I know, because nobody knows what we're doing.
Give me a 2.
And I get a 1. You got a 1, so you're last. So the draft, we just did draft order, everybody. If you're watching on TV, you get it. So draft order is now Bell K first, Matt Murphy second, and Mac Morey number 3. The best sevens of all time. Okay. All right. Well,
Bell,
here we go.
Let's go. Start us off.
Let's do this. Bell, you're considering it as general manager.
Yeah, him and his scouts are
of the Fighting Cobras.
Well, I still don't quite understand the draft.
I don't either.
What?
But I'm sure there's a 7 in here somewhere. So I'm going to go with Archimedes' constant, which is pi. And not only do I love the number pi, but I love the food pie. So pi is my first draft.
There
pick.
definitely is a 7. It's not in the first 6 though. It's 3.159, 3.14159.
You know what? Don't explain it to him. That's my draft pick. That's what I'm going with. Pi.
Oh, so not at the topic. Okay, great.
I'm going to go with Jack Daniel's old number 7.
That's it. That's
right?
it. That's what we're doing here.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Thank you.
Because Bell made some stupid comment about Seagram 7, and I said, well, there's a better number 7 if you're going to go liquor, and that is Jack Daniel's Old Number 7 in the black label. That's what I'm going to go with, and I'm going to need some of that to continue our Friday Mac Attack today. Mac Morey?
I'm going to go with touchdown and a PAT. That's my first draft pick. Boom. That's a great 7.
Can I get a little, yeah, thanks. This is...
my draft topics...
I mean, that's good. I mean, if you want to go, touchdown and a PAT. I mean, there you go.
My creativity...
It's better than 6.
Yes, exactly. It wavers from week to week, my creativity on this. It's either tennis shoes or we're drafting.
I'd like to
best
note
sevens.
that if it were up to Mac Morey last week, we would have drafted tennis shoes. Instead, it was the most fabulous draft in the history of the draft.
It's a great draft.
I gave him one for this week, and he was like, nah, I'm not, this is my segment. I'm not doing that.
I gave him one, too. I said, with Victoria Jackson here, we could do best Saturday Night Live characters or cast members of all time. He didn't want to do either of those.
7s.
He wanted to do 7s. Bell?
Okay, staying with my theme, I'm going to go with... I'm
going to go with 4.
I'm going to go with the golden ratio. 1.6180, and there's a 7 in there. So the golden ratio.
I mean, it's like he's not even competing.
The league commissioner is calling him right now saying, hey, I don't think you're playing the same sport. It's great.
2407 says, I need 7 shots of tequila just to stay tuned to this. I don't blame you. 7 Wonders of the World.
It's a good pick.
Friday the 13th, part 7. I'm gonna dip into my memory banks. This is a pick that I probably could pick up in free agency. Because I don't think anybody's going there. Anybody's gonna touch it. But I'm gonna go ahead and do it because it means this much to me. It is with the possible exception of the interception by Kaylee Ringo several years ago in the national championship game. No. It is my favorite memory in sports. It is the 7th game of the 1992 National League Championship Series when the Atlanta Braves beat the Pittsburgh Pirates. Game 7, Sid Bream on second base. There was a slap single. I think it was, somebody will remember who the guy, Francisco Cabrera, I think it was, that hit the slap single up the middle. Sid Bream, the slowest human being on planet Earth, had to score from second base, and he did to clinch the National League Championship Series, walk-off single to take them to the World Series. I'm going to go with the 1992 NLCS. Game 7.
Game 7.
Game 7.
You're drafting Game 7s. That is a great draft pick.
Thank you.
You understand this?
I think I do.
He's looking up some Albert Einstein, Socrates. I don't know what he's doing.
E equals
Socrates.
I don't know. I'm just saying things. I don't know.
All right, 2 minutes. We're on the clock, man.
All right.
Let's go.
I'm going to go with 99.7.
You're such a...
I mean, come on. Best listeners, best radio station.
You're such a sucker. You're letting the Members Nutrition Super Text hate affect your selections. He went with y'all. He went with you guys.
Yeah,
he went with you guys.
Not even my last pick.
997WTN.com. That's nice. That's nice. Bell?
You gave me a little bit of an idea, so I'm going to bring Taylor Swift into this, and I'm going to go with 13. That's her lucky number, 13.
But that's not set.
I mean,
yes, it is.
At some point, when we have more time, we're going to have the trial of Bell K.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Where we're going to put him on trial for not participating in the segment.
Silence, order, be
in
quiet.
The manner in which he's supposed to.
Bailiff, remove that man. Bailiff, remove that man.
It's going to go.
I want him out of my court.
I'm gonna go 2075. Brian gets here in just a minute, so just hang in there. Just keep your radio right there. I'm gonna go 7 deadly sins.
Nice.
7 deadly sins: greed, sloth.
So does this
and the rest.
So can I take the movie?
Oh yeah, you can take them. I'm taking the sins.
Okay, I'll take the movie.
Okay, you can take the movie. All right, are we done here?
That's it.
Are we finished here?
7 Up, honorable mention.
7 Up gets an honorable mention. 7 and 7 gets an honorable mention.
7-Eleven.
The 7 Wonders of the World.
Yep,
7-Eleven. A lot of honorable mentions. The 7 Dwarves.
Yep, that's
But
a good
enough
one.
about Maury's family. I'm just mean because the people on the super text line are being mean.
We're having fun.
We're having a good time. It's like a Friday on a Thursday, people.
Right.
All right, we're gonna get to serious matters in a moment. With the lengthy, the very tall. I could have gone Mickey Mantle, by the way. He's number 7.
Wow.
I thought about that. I thought about the Mick. We'll go with Brian Wilson for 100, Alex, in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, winding down our Thursday edition of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Brian Wilson in with us to preview what's coming up on the drive. Hello, Mr. Wilson. How are you, sir?
Hey, how's it going? We got a full lineup here. I'm going to start out with something that just is, it seems un-American. It seems unnecessary, and it may be even unconstitutional. And it's this attempt to strip Donald Trump of his assets before he has a chance to appeal his case.
Amen.
And it's getting to the point where he may lose one of his major properties or more. It's aggravating, and it angers me that this is being allowed in the America that we know. And so I'm going to start off with that. We've got border news. We got 2024 news. A lot of stuff coming up.
And, also coming up, the Covenant School, and I don't mean to deviate from your programming, but the Covenant School anniversary, and I heard you talk a little bit about that earlier this week, and I've got a few things set up for next week on it, but just on my mind. I don't know why it's on my mind, but it's because I'm talking to you, and I heard you talking about it earlier.
Well, it is. It's on the horizon, and again, we still don't know exactly what were in the writings of that deranged individual who carried out these heinous crimes, and I think that a lot of people want to know what's in those things.
Amen.
How long is it going to take?
Looking forward to the drive with Brian Wilson. It's from 3 until 7 this and every Monday through Friday afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. That is coming up right after Mac Morey's newscast, and Mac Morey's newscast is coming up right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're back for a First Amendment Freestyle Friday edition tomorrow at high noon. Until then, have a wonderful afternoon, folks. Hug your loved ones. We'll talk to you tomorrow. So long.